All right. So that being said, I will call this meeting to order. First off, I'll make a motion to approve our minutes from last time.
The only thing I saw was I didn't attend that meeting. I watched the Zoom after the Forest
Oh, goodness.
Initiative.
I didn't even notice I was, the top stuff is automatic.
No, I was at the meeting. I was at this meeting, but you had me down as going to the North County Forest
Oh,
Focus.
oh, that meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I watched the Zoom that they sent out after, but I
oh,
wasn't
after, okay.
present at the meeting.
That was a good distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're all okay with making that change,
Other than that, it looked good.
That was,
Me squeaky.
we can
yeah,
edit it after.
yeah.
All right. So that being said, though, with that change, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
All right. So we have, just so you know, we do have some guests that confirmed they are able to come, but not till 7:00. So we'll try to do everything that we can beforehand, and I think we have enough to fill the time. And let me just get back into my notes here. Okay. So first update on the agenda is farmers market, and this is pertaining to the hiring of a farmers market manager. I got confirmation today, Eric, that Michael said he's going to reach out and communicate between us to schedule a time. This is the only one that we've had so far. I confirmed with him. We haven't had anyone else reach out. So I figured we'd move forward, just interview this one candidate and then go from there.
Okay. Can you do that together in private, or does that violate the open meeting law?
No, I think as long as it's just us two, Michael said that was fine. If it's just us two, we won't have to have an open meeting. We can interview, and then we'll just come back and make a report update to the next meeting.
Okay.
So Michael will reach out, we'll schedule that, and then we can come back with an update. Next on the list for updates was just Arbor Day for 2023. If Abby, you want to just talk about Mr. Floric.
Yeah, so he is in the process of trying to root some cuttings for us. I have a list somewhere on my phone. He grabbed some like off the property of the high school.
Yep.
I think he got them going early in November, and he says they're still not rooted, so they're a little slow.
Okay.
And I've invited him and also his assistant, but he has classes like during this time on Mondays until May. So I'm thinking maybe we could try to get him in for June or when we get back after a break.
Yeah.
Because
So I know, aren't there 2 Arbor Days? Isn't there an Arbor Day in the fall?
is there an Arbor Day in the fall?
I mean, I think according to the Arbor Day Society, any day can be Arbor Day.
Right.
So, but I think that, I know they do arborists do a big pruning usually in the fall for Arbor Day. But yeah, sure. If we do it later and call it Arbor Day.
Well, and I mean, yeah, it does say, the classic is April.
It's in April, right?
But to that point, I kind of thought this year would be exploring it anyway to figure it out, see when is he's got to start the clippings and do all that so far in advance. So this would be a good test year, see how long it takes, and then he could start it.
I'm
For next year.
thinking maybe now that it's getting a little warmer, maybe the cuttings would like that better, but it's just a waiting game, I think, to see how they're not dead. They're just sitting there.
Just sitting, yeah.
Does he put them in oxen or anything?
He
or is it
has
just-
them, I think he does, pretty sure. And then he has them in little soil cells in his greenhouse. I picture somewhere out there, like buried now. I went to visit them in December. So I was on winter break, so.
Nice.
So that's good to know. So this year, we'll just keep that in our minds that Arbor Day, we might still need to order some plants if we want to do it
For this year?
for this year.
April?
Not for April, but if we're gonna do it later, we might still just need to order something.
Okay.
But that's to be determined. All right, so
We'll reach out and he'll probably have to check his schedule, but hopefully June works better than,
Okay.
yeah. June,
Tell him thank you.
yes.
yeah, keep telling them thank you.
Yes.
Next update is just about our town forest visit that did not occur because of weather. Again, I don't know if they've gone back or reached out or, yeah.
I exchanged some emails with the forester, and he said he gave me some dates he'd be available.
Yeah.
I haven't worked, and Mike just gave me a thumbs up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna aim for something in May.
Yeah. And just keep us posted and
And I know you sent out the application.
Oh, right.
I wasn't clear when I looked at it. Who would be submitting it? Would it be coming from us or from the forester?
No, it comes from us with a
It would come
landowner.
from us, okay. And,
We could name him because it's always nice to have a forester assigned basically already. So we
Okay.
name him as our forester, but it has to come from the landowner.
this is the stewardship application that you're looking at.
Yeah, the one that's clear to climate change.
Geared toward-
it looked so simple.
Yeah.
I wondered if
Yeah.
we would have to see the property before we submit it. I mean, is there a narrative that goes with it?
Actually, no, it's
Looked really straightforward.
we probably could just submit it. I mean, because the point of it is to get the walkthrough and the analysis done.
Right.
So we don't need to have really much prep before we say, we want to have this done.
That's what I was wondering, if we can just get it in.
Yeah. And the sooner the better, because they have a certain amount of money and they
Right.
basically give it away on a rolling basis.
Gotcha. And so it just needs a signature from us and the forester, or we're just naming him.
Yeah, I haven't actually reviewed this, to see if it's updated, but from the last one I did, we just had to say who the forester was. We didn't have to get a signature from him.
And then this is just to make sure I understand. This is about Stockbridge Mountain,
Yeah.
the one we talked about, and that's it.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I think one of the checkoffs is climate related, right? Is that what we would be checking off?
One of them, well, there's one that is designated, we are applying for cost share for climate forest pilot area, which, because we don't have an existing management plan,
Right,
we don't have a forest stewardship plan,
but we want one.
but we want one.
So are we asking for money for the forest stewardship plan?
Well, I guess my question, does it say you only have to pick one?
Okay,
Because it seems, another way to look at it, there's also the bird habitat assessment.
I don't want the bird habitat.
You don't want bird.
No,
What does that pertain to?
I think my original point in bringing this
Yeah.
up was to manage for old growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think bird habitat can mean some clearing.
Gotcha.
Those kind of things, and I mean, it's not, certainly not solely my decision, but that was the intent originally.
Right?
Yeah, it looks like, kind of tiny type.
Yeah, very fine type.
Like we should do this climate forestry without the bird and there's no existing, just for the new plan.
Well, I think I think if we get the recommendation from Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff, yes. From what we talked about, it would be nice if we could fill this out next meeting, codify it, make sure we're all clear. If Jeff is also, if he can attend or just look at it and give his approval, then we could vote on that maybe next meeting. And that way we can decide if we want to if this is also applying for funding to make a stewardship plan for Stockbridge Mountain.
Okay, so
And so that, I think that's the action plan that we just need to get it looked at from Jeff, bring it back, have it all filled out, and then we can say, yes, go, let's submit it.
so how do we do that?
Okay.
How do we do that?
Oh, how do we do that? Well, the other question is whether it might have to pass through Michael's hands, because he's the,
Yep, no, I would
I
agree.
think Michael has to actually submit it, so it'd be
Yeah.
good for him to look at it. Well, what if, I could fill in and save it as a PDF,
yeah,
unless it's a Word, I forgot which way it is. But anyway, I can fill it in and save it and send it to all of us and to Mike. And then see if maybe Mike should check it before we pass it on to Jeff.
yeah, and then that would give us a few weeks to all look at it, double check, confirm anything that we're not missing. Because otherwise, then I think, it does look very simple.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
almost
no,
looks
it
too
does.
simple.
That's why I thought, why don't we just get it in?
Does anyone have any questions about that? Does everyone know what property we're talking about?
This is Stockbridge Mountain.
Stockbridge Mountain? Okay. I just want to make sure we're all,
My only question, Matt,
yeah,
Lisa mentioned managing for old growth, but managing for old growth means actually doing some clearing to get rid of some young trees and let the old growth trees prosper.
It could.
well, I think that's,
No.
Yeah.
You can't just leave everything because that's not
Right.
managing for old
No,
growth.
I'm
No,
not saying that.
yeah, I think that's what Lisa's saying too, is because when we talked about the property, a lot of it, there's some wetlands that we found out about, but also, a lot of it is I'll use, for lack of a better term, okay. There's about 20% of it down near the road that has invasives. So I think if part of this plan, if we do a stewardship plan, that's the part where we'd have to think about if we want to get in there and clear some of those invasives. Otherwise, up predominantly, if I remember correctly, it was hemlock and oak.
And pretty inaccessible.
And pretty inaccessible. So there's not, we're not doing trails, we're not doing anything. That's all going to be left. But I think I agree with you. There might be some spots where Jeff might know.
Yeah.
And he might say, you might want to clear some of this so old growth can start. You can start the process.
And that's the point of looking at it, to see what the
Yeah.
forester thinks.
Okay.
What they think would be best.
If we, there's a form that, once we get the approval, there's a form we fill out to basically tell the forester what our priorities are.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, we can say, one of our priorities is manage for old growth. That doesn't mean we're gonna get it. I mean, he might look it over and come back and recommend that, it's impractical because you can't get a heavy equipment in there, or there's no place there that really lends itself to it. This is, that's the whole,
So there will be supplemental stuff where we can designate. Because that's why it looked like, you're right. It's so only those 2 pages and there's no narrative and there's no.
Right.
So so to be clear, we'll fill out what we can, have Michael look at it, have Jeff make recommendations. And then next meeting, we'll vote on it to make sure everyone has time to look at it. If we're not forgetting anything. Cool. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
That was more than an update. That was better.
Yeah. Good.
I'm glad. Okay. Finally, we have another guest today. who want to share how things were working with Laurel Hill Society and Ice Glen. And if you want, you can come sit up here, or you can stay there, whatever you want, whatever's comfortable. And just share with us. And I just got your
Yes.
email, so I'll share that with everybody.
Yeah, you may want to put that up.
I'll put that.
Yeah, Wire City under. Well, I just wanted to report that there were 3 people from Laurel Hill. Kate Fletcher, Jim Shantz, and I did our first periodic visit to Ice Glen last October 22nd. And we replaced and added trailblazers where they were needed. And we noted that there were 2 down trees, large ones that were across the trail. There were others that we were able to, one dead one that we were able to move and do some partial cleanup. And we cleared away small branches and trees off the trail. And those were doable. And we noted that the bridge, the only bridge left in Ice Glen, had 1 slat was missing. And we, actually, Jim Shantz went up the next day and replaced it. And we took pictures of everything that we were doing. And then the next day, I sent a brief assessment to town council and copied to Mike and copied the highway department and advised about the 2 trees and had pictures. And we decided that if there was anything substantial that needed to be done to the trail or to the bridge, that, that would be the responsibility of the town. If there was something that was simple that we could repair ourselves, we would do it. But anything structural to the bridge should be the responsibility of the town. And the next day, the highway department took care of the 2 trees. I mean, it was like instantaneous.
Good.
It worked out really well.
Oh, good.
So, so I did the write-up that maybe you can, I don't know, share.
I could try. Let me try. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
And I have a hard copy that I can pass around. I'll start it while he's doing.
Know what the dead trees were?
No, I don't remember what they were. I don't know if they were oaks
I was wondering if they were.
or hemlock.
I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
And did you see many dead hemlocks?
That's great.
We weren't looking for that either.
Okay.
We were
Fair enough.
concentrating on
trail.
what was on below for the trail itself. But I'll just briefly go over what the responsibilities documentation that I have here, that we would periodically visit Ice Glen to do a trail condition assessment. We'd replace or add trailblazers where needed. We would note the location and size of downed trees and branches blocking the trail, take cell photos if possible, and clear small branches and trees off the trail if doable. We would note the type and extent of any repairs needed on the single bridge. Again, take cell photos if possible, and make minor repairs, which would be optional. And then post-visit to Ice Glen, email a brief assessment report to the town administrator and copy the highway department. Advise of any needed tree or bridge work and include pictures. And that seems to have worked very well.
Honestly, I'm having technical difficulties, so I can't put up the photos, but everyone now has it in their email. But really, and going up there and finding that stuff is huge. Just having the knowledge.
Yeah.
And the fact that as long as it keeps working and it can get done.
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, I think we need to go up again because with that recent snowstorm,
yep,
I know that there are trees down. I've heard hikers coming back saying that at least on the trail up,
yeah.
there's some damage.
All the pines.
Here, Matt.
Oh, thank you.
That section with the pines especially.
Pardon?
The section with the pine that you go through,
Yeah.
there's really a lot of pines, that pines shed.
Oh, I know.
Branches, so.
Especially the just plain old top branches. They just seem to break so easily.
Yeah,
So, but at any rate, it seemed to work out very well. I was pleased with, you know, town response couldn't have been any faster. So, that really helped things out.
So we still have the old growth network sign,
oh, yeah,
and we were still unsure where to put it.
that's right.
We've been using the Laurel Hill blazes.
Right.
But if you want us to use any different kind of blaze, then
I don't think we have,
it's your, you know, prerogative, obviously, since you own the
But-
property.
Oh, it's not about the blazes. We have a sign
Oh,
because that it's now officially part of the old growth. network.
okay.
which, now that we're all in the same room,
Yeah.
maybe you could help us figure out where to put them.
Okay.
Because that might be nice. And, you know, we've been trying to figure out the most appropriate place to station them because all the signage is up front above the bridge for the most part. There's all that board there. But we know that not the whole forest or not all the trails lead to Ice Glen. So do we put it closer to the Glen or do we have it farther out near the parking?
Because, of course, that Ice Glen property comes all the way down to the river.
Right.
And in fact, the first third of the Mary Flynn Trail is actually on Ice Glen property.
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize
I
that.
didn't realize
And of course, they see the Laurel Hill blazes in the Glen, so they think we own that too.
Right.
So, but yeah,
But I think it also, I mean, to sidetrack back to the original, the blazes don't bother me because I think too, it represents you are also part of this and keeping an eye on it. And you're out there doing this and noting this stuff. So it's also good for people to realize that. But
And it's on their website.
and is on the web, yeah. So, but that, I don't know if it's possible, and I don't know if this makes sense, you can tell me if I'm crazy, but if we get the signs from Michael, because Michael took them that day. I
Right.
think he's got them locked up somewhere. And because I'm assuming you also maybe have the awareness of what trees and stuff, or where to like you already do the blazes. Maybe we could help go out with Laurel Hill or pass on to the
Either one.
signage.
Either one.
how far does the old growth extend? Is it the whole of Ice Glen property?
I think the whole of Ice Glen is designated as in the old growth network, yes.
Because that would be from the boundary where the Rabs own. Because I have actually done the signs that go on the Rab property because they get taken down and disappear and then reappear.
Yeah.
We had one that with the bottom of their driveway that said, you know, park here, walk up,
Yeah.
got ripped off. And then about a week later, it mysteriously reappeared. And I had made a temporary one in between. So that was quite odd. And then up at the top of the driveway is another sign that says Ice Glen and pointing to the Glen because they were having trouble with cars driving up.
All the way up,
and
yeah.
So
whatever.
where that second one is, would probably be a good place.
Or
We have-
right,
we have
just
two
past that is the boundary. And I would think that right there at that boundary, as they're entering in where that beautiful old white pine is, my favorite tree, and the hemlock to the right,
Yeah.
that would probably be a great place to put it so that they would know when they're entering that
Right.
portion that was.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great spot for that end of the trail.
That end, and the other end would possibly be just past the railroad tracks, I would think,
I'm okay with that.
as you're entering the forest.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
people will know.
Yeah,
So if we're okay, then maybe it'd be nice if we can get the signs back from Michael. And then, maybe connect with you or someone, and then it sounds like you know exactly the spots. And you clearly have the signage attaching knowledge. We could maybe pass those along, and whenever someone, from Laurel Hill has a chance, maybe that would be nice. It just,
Put them up.
just to put them up right where you know you want them.
I think it would be great to have,
We'll come to.
along.
Yeah, we're not. We'll come to. Yeah.
so do you have any adjustments or revisions to this or comments about?
I think what you're doing is perfect. Yeah.
And as long as it's working on your end, I mean, and if there's anything on our end that we can be doing more of and making sure, please let us know. I feel like this is a very rolling, when things arise,
Yeah.
we'll just stay.
Well, I think it's great to document it too, so that we know who's doing what
Yes,
or not doing.
not doing what, yes, yeah.
how often do you expect to do it, like, you know?
I
official
think it's obviously should be done in the spring and the fall and maybe once in the summertime, but the two, and probably after any big wind events that could, you know, so it's sort of a play by ear, but
Yeah.
at least a spring, you know, post-winter
Right.
inspection and assessment.
I think, yeah. And in conjunction with that, who is assessing the hemlocks?
We need to maybe reach back out to Ken
Okay.
and just get him, because it's in our budget, I think, still to do another reassessment.
Yeah, it'd be good to know
Yeah.
how effective it is.
So if you want to put down that as my action item, I'll reach out to Ken and see if I can schedule a time for him to just go back in
Yeah.
and give us an update.
You mean the Glen?
The Glen, just in the Glen.
In terms of the trees that were treated last
Yeah.
year,
Oh, okay.
to see if it was effective.
Yeah. So I'll put that on my list to get him,
And you'll
Thinking-
also ask Michael to get the signs?
get the signs, yeah.
Okay. And if you send us the date, if I can go, I'd be happy to go whenever you head out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should do an assessment soon because of the storms,
yeah.
especially that last.
That last one,
Was,
the weight of the snow.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, all of my ornamental shrubs and stuff were all down on the ground, you know, the branches were all down on the ground.
Yeah.
Took me forever to undo them. And I had to go out the next day and undo them again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is, do you mind if I hang on to this?
Oh, no, that's okay.
And thank the rest of your team.
Yeah. Okay. So that being said, click on the wrong link. Okay. All right. Next up is printouts for the town meeting slash links for online. So we had the
Why don't you come up from Concom so you can see? I don't know if you got all of these. No, I was talking to Jamie.
Oh, Jamie. Yeah, Jamie can come. You can come back too. You can stay.
You're welcome to
Yeah.
come up too, Pat.
Nice, gracious.
You've got the ones that we sent out.
So I sent out the invasive plant reference guide, the guide to the aquatic species, and then Lisa, you send out on top of that
Common invasives of mass.
the common invasives.
So, and these are potentially for the rack that's gonna be.
Right, to make the
put up.
trifold.
So, the one that came out through DCR, and I really liked, not to do the whole thing, but I thought if we picked some of the individual species that are most problematic here, because they had, a beautiful picture of garlic mustard and then a description on the back. I thought this was a good presentation if we wanted to go through and pick out a few of these. And I know you made the comment, Shelby, about it didn't include what to do about them.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean.
It's complicated.
That's the problem, it is complicated.
And I think, well, I had a couple of different thoughts and they're pretty preliminary. But one, I thought if maybe we could just also have a handout of a bibliography of treatments. With a range of treatments in general or places to contact. But I think it gets really sticky if we try to talk about treatment for every different
Well, yeah, and
invasive. If we can educate people to at least recognize these and have some idea where to go, I think that would be.
Right, like maybe list people to contact or
Yep.
groups to contact or,
If you're by the water, go to Concom.
because some look beautiful, right? And you go, oh, that's not a terrible plant.
Right.
And a lot of people really don't know.
Right.
Well, and I think too, and I think that is a good point because I think we're trying to just give the people the information. And if they find out, if they don't know already, which most people know, that bittersweet is an issue, or it hasn't recognized that they have a bunch on their property, then they can take the next step of like, well, what do I want to do about it personally?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to like say, we're just kind of like, this is bad.
Yeah, just the information.
The information, and then you can go talk to whoever you want, seek it out. You could come to our meeting and we could talk you through it maybe and like point you to some places, but just so they recognize it, they see it, and then they can figure out what they want to do.
unfortunately, the thing that most people need to do most of the time is physically remove stuff. And it's a lot of work, it's a pain in the neck, and you gotta keep doing it over and over again.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
It's monotonous.
and time consuming and
Yeah.
expensive.
yeah,
And if you pull the plants up, you can't just toss them aside, right? Won't they
Some of them.
replant?
Some of them, or if they have seeds on them, then
Right.
you're spreading.
right.
So that being said, I mean, so that one that has the nice pictures,
Yeah,
the DCR, like, I don't think we need all of them.
we don't need all of them.
We don't need all of them. But maybe we can run through and just make a quick list of the ones we do want.
Okay, so let's vote.
So like,
Garlic mustard,
I'm thinking yes on garlic mustard.
Japanese knotweed,
Yeah.
Yes.
giant hogweed,
I don't think we have that
yeah,
yet.
I'd say
Which
no.
one?
Hogweed, anyone? I don't think that's really bad yet here.
Stilt grass, no. Bittersweet,
Yeah.
Japanese honeysuckle,
What about the
Hang on a second.
Japanese?
Wait, hold on. We gotta catch up with our recorder.
I'm just gonna, mark them in the spreadsheet. Okay, so we got the Oriental bittersweet, Japanese knotweed, right? Garlic mustard, okay.
Japanese honeysuckle, yeah, I think, yeah. Mile a minute,
I don't think
don't think
come
there's-
across that.
kudzu,
That's another one I
That's,
don't.
well, it's around a bit. In fact, there was some up at Ice
You
Glen.
have this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Japanese barberry,
Yep.
autumn olive, I'd say no,
I don't.
and it's really pretty.
It's very beautiful. Yeah, I bet.
Amber honeysuckle, I don't think there's much of that. Buckthorn,
no, yeah.
Yep.
multiflora rose,
Yep.
Norway maple,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
It's around. Yeah. It's around.
it's invasive.
Oh, is that the common
know that.
you had there? Because there's two.
It's another beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tree of Heaven,
I don't think that's.
okay, that's it through here.
I feel like that's a good
I think
start.
that's a good, and then to combine it with
The water.
the guide to selective invasive non-native aquatic species, and that's, this I thought was good.
Yeah.
It had a bunch of things that I didn't have no knowledge of at all.
Yeah.
The aquatic ones.
And we have water chestnuts, it's in there.
Yeah.
We do have those at the
Yeah.
lake.
So we got,
Purple
so
leaf stripe is in here.
let's do that one. Do you feel like we need all of these ones? Just
I don't know.
This was at the end.
these. I can read them off here.
You have all of these.
I believe so.
Definitely loose stripe.
We got so
Leaf stripe is in.
the variable milfoil, the Eurasian milfoil, fanwort. I don't. Curly leafed pod,
I think we have that
I
one.
think that's in the bowl, yeah.
European naida, water chestnut, purple loosestrife, common reed, Phragmites.
Yeah, we have those.
Hydrilla. Doesn't ring a bell. South American waterweed. Pirate feather. Or parrot feather, excuse me. Yellow floating heart. Zebra mussel. That one.
Oh,
We should.
don't.
We don't. Oh,
yeah,
well,
because it's in Lake Champlain and they're awful,
yeah.
just terrible.
That's it. Obviously, I know we're forestry and agriculture, but
Yeah.
well,
So, and I hate
That's
to ask you
good.
this again, but could you
Yes.
just quickly tell me which ones
so it was.
you wanted to keep?
So does that have the two-sided also? Does that, what you just went through, is it the same layout where we could just pull
So
it
this
out?
one,
Okay, it's one-sided.
there we
No
go.
fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have it on your.
Okay. Chestnuts,
Yeah.
loose
It's in
string,
my yard, it's not,
common reed.
I think it's pretty, but it's
it is pretty,
terrible.
there should be a lot of milkweed there. if,
Right.
You know, if I got to choose, but it's just,
Clams,
Yeah,
Asian clams.
or the fleas, okay,
There
great,
we go. And we'll have that then, just. All right.
great.
Anything else we wanted?
So were we going to give these to the town?
So I'm hoping that we can give these to Michael.
Okay.
We can print it out.
Color.
You can trade for the sign, right?
Huh?
Trade for the sign.
Trade with the sign. But we will, I'm thinking, I don't know if this sounds right to you, everyone, 10 of each. That's a lot of, that's a lot of printing as is.
Yeah, that's plenty, I think.
10 of each. I tried going down to see the rack,
Yep.
but no one was there, so I'll try to get,
Oh, he's in Denver.
oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'll try to get down there and see the rack. But I'm thinking they're gonna be full sheets like this, just
Yeah,
like that with the big colored image on them.
okay.
And the one thing we maybe have to do is just come up with a nice big sign saying, "No, you're invasives" or something. And that we'll put on the rack. But was there anything else we wanted to print out besides the
Oh,
pamphlet?
we wanted the pamphlet from Concom.
Yeah, wasn't it going to be like a
Yeah,
trifold?
yeah, you got a trifold and the ComCom.
And who's was going to work on that?
Well, Dave Cameron,
Oh, he was? Okay,
Dave Cameron sent it out.
okay.
You can hang on.
Oh, that's okay. I
Don't know if the Concom,
Should we ask Sally? She seems the most logical person, or Ron.
And it doesn't need to come our way. It can go straight to Michael.
Okay.
Okay,
Because I mean, you know,
so we'll see her next week. if I know.
Next Tuesday, we have a
Ask her if you
meeting.
want.
okay.
I can send a short email.
Okay, and just ask her if it's ready to be put on the,
Okay,
Yeah.
and if yes, to get it to Michael so we can get copies.
okay.
Copies, and then we'll
For
send,
nothing in exchange.
So one question that I
Yeah.
have is if we want to just basically print excerpts from these, do we need to get permission?
Oh,
I
Good
I
question.
wondered, it's the USDA, you know, I would think.
I don't know.
are they gonna be
It's
upset?
proprietary, I mean, isn't it put out so that people can have the information?
Yeah,
That's a good question, though.
but
Does it
I,
say?
I haven't gone through to see if it says anything about, you know, like, oh, this is here
I'm
for,
looking
you know,
back.
anybody done it, you know, distribute this any way they want to.
I'm not seeing anything at the end that says we can't. They prohibit discrimination.
It's not actually copyrighted.
Yeah, I don't see,
Well, I think it's produced by,
But yeah, oh yeah, but I mean, and we could always, like take their cover sheet and then add one page saying excerpts of or something. So that we're acknowledging where it comes from.
Well, that's a good idea.
I doubt they'd mind, but, I just, you know, if it were copyrighted, if there was any kind of copyright statement saying anything about reproduction or distribution, then, you know, that would matter. But they don't.
one of the goals is to make the guide accessible to a variety of people, including private landowners, managers, researchers.
right?
Yeah, so let's just,
I mean, I would think it's for you.
so how about if I pull all these pages out that we want to use and then just add some text up front somewhere saying that it's, you know, excerpts from this.
This guide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Or cover,
The DCR thing, probably the same idea.
Yeah. Dan, nothing's jumping out at me that says, no, not to be distributed. I mean, and it was on a website, so it's,
QR code on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
You could scan, it's kind of a lot. I'm not
Oh,
quite
for
sure how
young
the QR
people.
work. But if you have your phone with you and you go to the stand, you can use the QR code and then you have the whole
yeah,
thing on your
no.
phone. Kind of complicated.
thank you for offering to figure out how to do that for us.
Okay. I could look it up.
Got it. All right, but that being said,
I think
I think we're good with those.
do we have a sign maker? I'm not a good sign maker, so I can't.
I think I got someone, maybe. We'll see. I gotta see the rack, and then I think put that on my list. I'll figure out how to whip something up.
Okay, and if you need help before, town meeting is before our next meeting, right? When is town meeting?
The 16th, right?
Middle of the,
Yeah,
Middle of May,
May.
so we have one more.
we got one more. Yeah, okay.
Figure out how to get everything up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, moving on to our final item.
Thank you.
And I do think we, change the view here. We do have, oh, yep, there we go. Natalie's with us. Okay. Can you hear us good?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can. So, Natalie said that, she could come, and I'll let her introduce herself. But we'll have a discussion about compost, and I'm excited that she can join us and fill in some knowledge.
Yeah, cool. All right. So it sounds like y'all can hear me. I'm sorry I couldn't, I'm just in Great Barrington. I'll just use myself in a second. I was gonna drive up, but I had another meeting until 7. So the Zoom was great. So thanks for having a hybrid meeting. I'm Natalie. Matt and I are friends, and he invited me to speak. So I'm the co-founder and chair of the Great Barrington Strategic Sustainability and Livability Committee, which is in a bit of a transitional stage now. We can talk about that another time. I also do sustainability and climate work professionally. But the reason why Matt asked me to come to your meeting is he mentioned that you all were considering doing some programming around compost. And so we chatted a couple months back, and I explained, not very scientifically, but I just explained some of the things that our committee in Great Barrington sort of thought about as we considered doing a food waste diversion program. And I was happy to just come and explain some of the different options to get the wheels turning for you all as you potentially consider whether or not you might want to do some sort of food waste diversion or composting program within your committee within the town of Stockbridge. So I'm happy to set some of that up, but by way of setup, Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to offer as to why you're framing the discussion for the committee?
Well, no, I think you did a good job. I really, this is really in the preliminary stages, and I think Abby found some really great information online that we got an email about, which you can talk about more too at the end of this. And that we're just starting to explore it. I think it came out of some synergy after some other meetings with people saying, why aren't we composting more? And it's kind of snowballed very quickly to the point we're at now, where we have a piling up of information. But I think you being here will help us sift through the information and kind of the potholes that might arise or speed bumps that might arise to get to a composting program.
Great. Okay, awesome. So I'll note that the Great Barrington Strategic Sustainability and Livability Committee for probably about 2.5 years has been floating different ways to do a food waste diversion program within the town. And we've tried a couple of different avenues. Where it's actually going to go, I can't speak to because we're not there yet. We are going to present some recommendations to the select board and try to get some clarity on next steps. But I always think it's helpful to think about a goal doing food waste diversion and then think about, well, what are the different ways that we could approach, that. And I'll just share some of what we went through and some of the thought process that we went through in case any of these options are helpful. There's a million different ways that you can accomplish any particular thing. So Aretha Whitehead, which some of you might know from her work at Greenagers around the community, was leading a lot of this work. And I invited her to come to this meeting, and she wasn't available. If you get farther down the road, she might be able to share more specific technical information about some of the components, but I'll just be very general and kind of light on details. Mark Phillips also was leading some of this work for our committee, and then pass it off to Aretha. So a couple things. I think we've originally started thinking about food waste diversion. We had a committee member a number of years ago who was a restaurant owner, actually 2 who were restaurant owners, and they were interested in whether or not the town could do a hauling program for commercial businesses, which is something that bigger communities do. Great Barrington doesn't do any municipal hauling. We have a transfer station, and some people, have a private hauler. I assume that's similar in Stockbridge. So that was not on the table, although we did talk about it a little bit. So the next thing that we sort of tried was trying to figure out what interventions could happen at the transfer station to manage a pile at the transfer station in Great Barrington. The staffing and space, I believe, were just not an option. So we did talk about that. I think you have more space in Stockbridge, so that might be something to consider. We also considered, and I believe Sheffield is doing this, having basically a private compost hauler, which would probably be Berkshire Compost or maybe Tommy's Compost. They would deliver totes, and then they would sort of be responsible for picking those up. I believe that that's what Sheffield is doing at their transfer station now. So that was something that we talked about. We also talked about how do you sort of advertise. So there's sort of a hauling component of like actually trying to get someone to come and pick up your compost. Then there's also just trying to build more awareness within the community of what options they have to compost on their own. So there's a few private haulers that people can contract with. I think a lot of people in South County use Berkshire Compost. I think it's maybe $20 to $30 a month. Stanton Home is also a drop-off location that a lot of people drop their items off at. So one other idea that we had was like doing advertising at the transfer station of, oh, you are paying for your, your tags, and you maybe could consider going to these other locations to distribute your food waste. I believe the select board wasn't in favor of that because they didn't want to like prioritize any businesses in terms of an advertising component, but that was something we talked about kind of getting money through budget for signage. And so the last option that I think is where we're going to continue to work on, I know the select board is interested and the Board of Health is also interested, which is really interesting. We've had some discussions with the health agent and Board of Health member is, so at Great Barrington, it's, you probably all, like our transfer station is almost in Stockbridge. It's really far north of town. So if you, like I do, like drive your recyclables and trash to the transfer station, like it's kind of out of the way. So, and a lot of people in Great Barrington don't do that because a lot of people choose to have a private hauler because there's the density for it. So one idea that was suggested was to find a town location that would be central for drop off. So that would be like a town-owned piece of property where we would get totes from Berkshire Compost or another company, and people could take their bucket and drop stuff off, and then we'd have a hauler come and take the material away. So that we were just thinking of central locations, like the courthouse, which is like pretty central to a big residential area in town, and then maybe like the parking lot of the Hoosie Dome in Housatonic, very Great Barrington centric locations. So where we were at was looking for funding through grants to be able to basically contract out with a hauler like Berkshire Compost or issue an RFP to find one. And there was a particular grant, the Sustainable Materials Recovery Grant, that seemed like it would be a fit. And unfortunately, by the time we got to looking the fund, I just put that in the chat, but I can share that, Matt, with you for the minutes. By the time we got there last year, I think all the funds were expended. It looks like they're releasing funds in April. So that was a grant program that seemed to be positive. I believe there was also another program, and I would have to check, we'd have to check with the Sheffield folks, but I think it was the Community Compact that they may have used. Might be getting that a little bit wrong, but I believe they have totes at their transfer station. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit of like, here's some different avenues that we talked about. Paying a commercial hauler, that's definitely not. Advertising at the transfer station, having a drop-off site at the transfer station that a hauler comes and manage, actually having town staff manage a compost pile, at a town facility, or having other locations where people can pick things up. So that's sort of what I wanted to share, and I hope that it provides some fodder for anything that y'all may want to do on compost within your committee. And I'm sure there's more ideas, but those are just the ones that Great Barrington has been toying with.
A couple of questions. Were you looking at collecting both green and brown material? We didn't get down that pathway. I believe we were focusing on food waste primarily because people would be moving the waste to like where it would be dropped off. So I think we were mostly thinking food waste, but I would probably, if you do a hauler like Berkshire Compost, I would probably just talk to them about what their accepted materials are and then give residents, sort of direction on that. And then another question, presumably the haulers, the compost companies are charging for the delivery of material that they are then composting. What happens to the compost when it's done?
I believe, so this is where I would just, if you're gonna go down that path, like you'd want to talk to the hauler about what their procedures are. I believe both of them have a way that they give the material back to their customers. And I don't know exactly how that would work if you use like a unified drop-off tote situation, but I'm sure there's something that you could work out with them to get some of the finished product back. I'm not 100% sure how they do it, but that's kind of, I think that's pretty standard for those haulers, is that they have some way when they're at the right point in their season and their pile maturity that they tend to figure out a way to get their customers some of the finished products.
The one I'm familiar with, they pick it up and it's brought to a specific farmer, and the farmer uses it.
Yeah, from the couple that I just peeked at, from what their statements on their websites, it seems like a lot of, it's either going to a farm or someone who's not necessarily a farm, but creating compost in some fashion or other. So it's not necessarily a farm all the time, but it's whoever's closest to the pickup and
Willing to accept
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the actual production of compost is distributed around different places so that they, like, if it's gonna be kitchen waste, then they'll have their own brown material to mix in with it.
Right. Yeah. But I do know, like, from some brief discussions, that there is the potential for some more material from the town being collected in either the parks or parks department or the highway department. Though you do get into issues of what else gets picked up with like the leaves during the fall, somehow all these little candy wrappers end up in the leaves in the fall. I don't know how it happens, but it is amazing. But there's that. And then I think that this year the highway department is going out for a wood chipper. So that is another, not that they're going to be doing a lot of, I don't know how much they're going to be using it, if it's just for certain occasions, but they would be collecting wood chips for themselves to also then use on anything that the town may need. Wood chips are amazing. So that's more discussions that could be had with what they're thinking, which I'm not super privy on. And then I think to your point too is, Natalie, since Great Barrington is a lot bigger, and our transfer station is a little bit more centralized, and everyone I know pretty much drops off at the transfer station. There is a little bit more space now that the construction is done, but I do know that a lot of it is in wetland. So that's just something to consider, that we can't have necessarily a pile of stuff sitting around. I think that would be something for the COMCOM to really discuss. I don't think we could really have that.
Yeah, and that wetland is designated for wildlife, is it? So, yeah, it's very specific purpose for the
Right.
wetland.
Also, if we're gonna collect kitchen waste, we can't just like leave it somewhere waiting for it to get.
For the bears. Yes.
But they love that.
They do, yeah, I have issues myself.
Wasn't that a ruckus at a town meeting about the?
Yes, there was a ruckus. So that being said too, if you want to talk a little bit about what you found, because you found some great information and just kind of share.
Matt sent out this information about the recycling dividends program, which I think is like connected through the Massachusetts or the DEP's Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, which includes more than just compost. But it says they provide payments to municipalities that have implemented specific programs and policies proven to maximize reuse, recycling, and waste reduction. So I found the article talking about the the towns that received the funding last year. It's just a quick little thing if you want to look at that. And then on the actual article, I think the link was broken, or at least maybe it was just my computer or something, but then I found this very large list of over the 200 towns that got the funding, and then it's great. Just includes how much each town got, which I thought was really interesting. There are a few towns from the Berkshires. I think Egermont's in here, Monterey, obviously Pittsfield. So there's that. And then basically how it works is they have like a point system. So the more points the more efforts you're making, the more points you get, and then the more funds you qualify for. So at least in their organic section, they have, they start with, so if you do these 3 things, you get 1 point, and then these are, so you can pass that around. I thought let me find it. To start, I thought it was pretty cool that to earn 1 point, you could, it says the municipality offered subsidized home compost bins to residents at a price that did not exceed $35 per bin. The municipality ran an active outreach education component. Interesting.
Some of these things the town already does.
Well, I think and I found that partially, and I don't know if Great Barrington, anyone in the committee in Great Barrington looked at this, the Massachusetts Sustainable Materials Recovery Program. But what I found interesting is that we might be already doing some of these.
These we're already doing.
And you can check off the box and we get money for that, you know? And then you can take that money and they give you some eligibility kind of around what you can do with that money, but it goes right back into reducing waste. So there was a lot of different ways we can get little points. Obviously, it's all scaled based on population. But, you know, it could be a little chunk of change to reinvest back into making a system better.
Wonderful.
I think it's in November. Obviously, this also would mean coordinating with other departments, highway, transfer station, parks and rec. And there was other ones too. What else did you have?
I'm not sure. I was gonna mention I just thought it was really cool how it says other examples of effective outreach include, active outreach and education component. So that includes home composting workshops in the spring or fall, home compost demonstrations at farmers markets, local fairs, festivals, or similar public events, and a video program at the library and or on cable TV. I thought that was pretty interesting. We could somehow do more education around compost.
And you can get points and money for doing it.
Great. That's wonderful.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just gonna say, that was the grant program that I was talking about. And we actually had she's not there anymore. I think her name was Veronique Blanchard. She came to a couple of our meetings and she was really trying to get Great Barrington to basically participate in the program. And then I think by the time we got organized, the funds were all expended last year because I think we got into it late. So I definitely would like Great Barrington to take a look at any of the things that we may already be doing. But that sounds, we were really excited about that grant program because it just seems like it incentivizes a lot. So yes, that was the one I was talking about. And there was also the compact. That was the SMRP. It was the same. It was the same program basically that I was talking about. I think that Sheffield may have gotten funds through the compact, but it didn't seem like it was live. And you probably already caught this when you were doing the research, but it does look like the documents will be updated for spring 2023 before April 12th. That's what it says on their website. So And it seemed, I don't know how quickly the funds go, but it did seem like they did get expended after a certain point. So it would be a great time to maybe look and see when the funds are available and what the application process would look like to get some of that money.
So can we contact that person and invite her to talk to us?
Yeah, we could.
Whoever the-
And who was you mean the person from Great Barrington?
No, the
No.
person from this program. Is that, you
Yeah.
had the person from this program speak with you?
Yeah, the person that we had who had came to our meetings left. She went to another job at some point over the past couple of years, but if you go to their website, which Matt, I think you have, well, you probably both have this, but there's a contact list that seems like you could just go straight to these people, Janine Bishop or Wilfred Mabah, and they would probably chat with you and be happy to come to a meeting. Veronique left, but she was really wonderful to work with. I feel like most people at various environmental agencies in the state are just like lovely and happy to help. So I'm sure you could reach out to them and get somewhere great.
And so, because obviously there's a lot of information we do a lot. We already do a lot. I want to acknowledge that. And I think everyone should know that. But I do think this is in our wheelhouse, and if it can become self-sustaining and we can get money for doing it. That being said, now what is one thing that you would probably suggest us to focus on in the near term, like right now, to keep the ball rolling?
I would probably, well, actually, you both said, wait, who's the person with the blue shirt on the right across from you, Matt? I don't know everybody's names. Right across.
Yeah.
Abby.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I think one thing that I don't know that I really liked, and Matt, I think when we talked, you talked about like education and really like building a culture of ecology within the community is something that you're focused on. And we didn't do this in Great Barrington, but like workshops around composting, or the idea of like just getting money to distribute bins, whether those are actually just like enclosed compost fair safe bins or something that makes sense for the community. That might be a really nice and easy way to start, because you're not like dealing with town property. And if it feels like, because often I always like to say that the small is all, because if you're doing something that changes the culture of the way that people engage with the natural world or the world around them, you don't necessarily know what that's going to do. It could open you up to some really interesting and new and magical things. So even if it seems like, oh, we're going to get $5,000 to distribute, I don't know, 100 bins and do like one workshop, that could really open things up. So maybe think about that, and then probably also just check in with the grant contact, because it's a great program and they were super helpful, even though we ultimately weren't quite there yet. So just some ideas.
Matt, can I say something?
Oh, yeah.
The bins that they distributed, I had one a number of years ago. Trust me, they don't work, and they're not bear safe. I went and bought a Swedish composter for a household, cost about $275, $300, works great. And everything else I take down to Meadow Farms. I mean, and I know they take food waste, because where they make you drop the cuttings and leaves and stuff, there are carcasses. I would guess they're sheep lambs or veal carcasses.
Oh, yeah. Well, to your point, I think, I had an offhand conversation with one hauler who I ran into, and Meadow Farm was the person that they were distributing, or they were hauling from, I think it was Lee, that because it was the closest. And she said that she does that because she wants the food waste to go close as possible to where it's being consumed. So, I think there are some good ethical people, if anyone's going to be an ethical person, it's going to be a compost hauler, I think. So to that point, I think there's some creative solutions we could do in the town of Stockbridge, being that our size is more flexible, I think. And that's now you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think that's kind of the feeling I have with our situation where Great Barrington, you're dealing with a very more complicated system.
Yeah, I think that's true. And yeah, and I don't recall, I know that Berkshire Compost, I don't know, they might take some to Meadow Farm and some to Stanton Home. I think they did go to Meadow Farm originally. So yeah, the two haulers that I'm familiar with are Berkshire. I'm not endorsing them. They're just like, they're the ones that exist. Maybe you have to issue an RFP depending on the size of it's Berkshire Compost, which is Melissa Higgins. They're based in Houstonic. So it would be pretty close. And then Tommy's Compost, which they're based in Pittsfield. They might go to Stockbridge, but Mary Stucklin is very knowledgeable.
They do come to Stockbridge.
Yeah.
Oh, the Tommy's? Okay. Yeah, they're both super knowledgeable. And I know like when we were in, just like having some discussions, I think with Melissa, it's like, all right, this is the number of totes that you would need. They're doing a lot of this. So they have a good sense of volume and are working with some schools and stuff like that too.
And that's an important educational piece. We did a video with the farmer. So you get to see where the compost goes. And it was a good educational piece.
Right.
I want to think about.
And I think, and just to go back to your point, Eric, about the bins, I think in that program, part of the point, I think the point system is like, I think it doesn't even say it doesn't say you have to give out X amount of bins. It's more about we offer it. So it's like, we have a couple bins, we're offering it, but I think that could count as a point. Not that we have to go out and push bins to every person, but it's the fact that I think we could get some money just for having a program where if someone does really want to try one of these bins, they can come and try it, but we don't have to sell a certain amount of bins to qualify for the point. That's the way I read it, but if we can get that person to maybe clear that stuff up, because that would just be an easy box kind of to check in that area. Natalie, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if there was anything we aren't saying or asking that you think we should know.
No, I feel like you're asking all of the right questions, and yeah, I think it would just be important, just based on the question around green versus brown waste, is just making sure you're clear on what your goals are. I think for us, we were really, for whatever reason, we were focused on food waste. We were kind of coming at it from a climate and sustainability perspective. And there's methane emissions, with yard waste as well, but that's kind of where we were kind of coming at it from there. Also because the hauling costs are getting really expensive for trash, and Great Barrington has they have a multi-tiered system, but some people pay per bag. So we were definitely thinking food waste, but I guess the thing I was hearing is maybe we're also considering yard waste options as well. And that would just be something to just think about, because I think the solutions might be a little bit different in those cases. So just, I think thinking about what are your goals? I think for us, we were trying to think of from a climate perspective and from kind of reducing folks' household waste from a daily basis. And also thinking of Great Barrington as being I don't know, Stockbridge is none of our towns are urbanized, but Great Barrington is slightly more urbanized. So there are a good number of people who don't have yards. There's a lot of apartments. So we were sort of thinking about that as an option. I have a compost bin and I have a pile in my backyard, and I have had for years. I'm sure a lot of you do too, but trying to provide support for the folks that can't do that for various reasons. So I think just get clear on your goals and then sort of figure out what tool makes the most sense for what you're trying to accomplish.
My question was about the select board. Is this anything that we would need to bring to them?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm thinking that this will be a broader discussion too, because I think if we go for this program, and a lot of the stuff that we are already doing, we can get those points. You know, I also think there would need to be some upfront funding to do some of those points. But then if we do them and we are in the program, the money should come back through. So if we're keeping the return on investment within the range that they're denoting, you know, we can start kind of having a cyclical system.
And also, if this is on the next agenda, to invite the green team, because I know it's come up with them. It came up with them at the hazardous, the meeting we had a couple of years ago. And the green team was talking about composting at that time. So I don't know what, you know, how far they've gotten, what they've learned.
Right.
It would be good to have them in a conversation with us.
Do you have a contact from them? Do
Is it
you?
Laura?
Yeah, Laura DeBester.
Laura. Okay.
Light bulb lady.
Right.
Yes. So see if maybe Laura can come and give us an update. And
Yeah, and see what they've done.
join, you know, I don't want to like neglect what they've already probably
Right, or see.
learned or done. Yeah.
And they may be able to work with us to help kind of put together a proposal, a plan to go to the town with.
And we get them, if there's definitely there's a long list of points there
Yeah,
of reducing here. And there's definitely probably some other departments that we can get, because I know having programming in the library, that gets you a few points.
and the Library of Things is a wonderful, is a good, Stockbridge doesn't have one, but it's a great thing.
But if you know, so I think you know, if we can build a coalition and all, you know, try to get a couple points here, then I think it'll be easier to then go present something to make it worth our while.
Yep.
Cool.
Good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I hope we can, in the future down the road, when we're getting more nearer, we can keep in touch
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited. Thanks for letting me come. And yeah, keep me posted, Matt, on where y'all land. And like I said, Aretha Whitehead is doing more of the work on this, and we're hoping to present to the select board, I think in April. And so we might actually have more next steps, but thanks for letting me come with some semi-formed thoughts, and y'all are doing great work. So I wish you best of luck. I'm gonna jump off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thanks all.
All right. I'm going to make that my bumper sticker. Small is all. Okay. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah.
The Massachusetts Association of Conservation Districts, I just emailed you the invitation. They're having their local working group meeting. And the one thing that interests me, they're working with USDA, NRCS. So all you got to do is sign up if you've got the 3 hours.
Gotcha. And that's, oh yeah, I see it. April 21st,
9:30 to 12.
9:30, 12:30.
You have to register.
Okay. And everyone's on the link. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and keep me posted. If there's any events too that you do go to and you want to share that you learned something or you found something that, you know, like this event, keep doing that. Keep sharing, and then we can also put it on the agenda to talk about. Okay. That being said, hearing no further information or any other thoughts, I'll make a motion to close. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Jane.